Welcome to the 5G podcast.
We're glad you're here.
We hope you enjoy our conversation about God, guns, games, goals, and gastronomy.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode.
We can just
start her up.
start her up and see what happens, huh?
Good.
This will be the religious episode because we're going to church today.
Ah, yes.
We're doing church today.
Like a true Seventh-day Adventist.
True Seventh-day Adventist, yes. My wife is actually going to the drag races today instead of...
That's her church.
Yep.
Her chapel.
Yep.
That's cool.
I met... You don't watch very many gun YouTube videos?
I don't. No, I mean, just usually shorts, actually, when they come up.
Fair enough. I watch 90% of my YouTube is gun-related stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I only watch cool shorts when they're just, like, doing gun circuits, quick time things or whatever, showing
Those
up.
are really fun, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't follow any actual gun YouTubers.
One of the bigger gun YouTube guys, his name is Goran Thumb.
Yeah, I know of him.
Okay. And he comes out with a video every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific.
Mm-hmm. You told me that you watch his
I watch
religiously.
Every Sunday after church is when I watch his videos. And I met him, and I told him that, and he's like, "Blessed be the Sabbath day." And I was like, yes.
Right on.
I should put up a picture of that so people don't think I'm lying about it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You met him IRL?
I did, at SHOT Show. Him and, Caleb Francis.
Yes. I think I remember you mentioned
He's not a gun content creator necessarily, but he hangs out with that crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and he just makes funny videos on TikTok, basically.
Yeah.
He does.
That's cool.
So, anyway. Anywho.
Oh, I get the timer started. Continue.
I think we should probably just start talking about TV shows.
Sure. TV shows sounds good.
Let's start with I wanted to ask you if you had seen the new Fallout preview.
I have seen the Fallout preview.
I also have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Next topic. No.
This is my
opinions.
Official statement. You can clip this, put it all over the news. I am hesitantly, begrudgingly going to watch the show. Yeah.
Why begrudgingly?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll be good.
Really?
I want to be optimistic.
The preview looked pretty good.
Yeah. They looked okay. There's still just a part of me that's like, it's a video game adaptation. They do this to you every time.
Yeah.
They make it look good.
Paramount with the Halo thing.
I don't think we ever saw Halo John Sargent's helmet off in any of the previews. And then first episode, he took the helmet off, never went back on.
True. Well, for the 4 episodes that I watched.
That's also only watched 4 episodes.
Lady.
Yes, yeah, I know. And they didn't show any of her in the previews. Like,
Or the bald lady. Not bald, but like blonde haired.
Or the Alien Covenant lady,
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
The blonde one. So I don't know. Video game adaptations.
Power also looks good.
Everything looks
Wheel
good.
of Time looks good.
Oh, yeah. Some of the video game adaptation movies looked decent, but none of those have ever been good. The one I'll give credit was the Super Mario Bros. Movie. That one was actually pretty good.
What about the Tom Holland one? The
Uncharted?
Yeah. I never played those games, so I had no frame of reference. But as just a movie, like a little teen,
I heard,
adult or preteen movie. I was like, that's not bad.
Yeah, it was fine, kind of separate from the games, but it was just
Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't compared to the games or the writing of the games. It wasn't as good.
Okay, fair enough.
Also, their casting was weird. The Mark Wahlberg should have just been Uncharted. What's that? The Uncharted guy, I forget his name. He should have been Tom Holland's character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, their casting was a little weird. Tom Holland was looks too much like a little kid to play Nathan Drake, the main character.
Yeah, there you
go. So that looked weird. Where Nathan Drake's mentor is supposed to be old and graying, and it was just Mark Wahlberg. Wahlberg, that's an action hero guy.
True. Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
take. Anyway,
Anyway.
about a movie that's 7 years old.
Video game adaptations, you know, I have a feeling I'm going to be burned, but there still is a big part of me that wants to be optimistic. So that's why I'm going to watch the show. The casting seems pretty good. All the actors, all the shots we've seen from it look fine. So at the very least, I think at the very least it might be middle just for the visuals. Like, all right, that's cool seeing the guy in a big suit of power armor walk around and punch stuff. Like, maybe. All right.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. Did you see that because it's through Amazon, they're doing like a really big giveaway of like 200 years of free stuff?
I heard they were just giving away the newest game for free when the show airs. Fallout 76. They were like giving, I don't know, not so many. I think anybody could just download it for free for a certain amount of time, and then you get the whole game. But I didn't hear about any other giveaways.
Yeah, I saw like an ad on TikTok about it.
Amazon just giving away free merch.
Yeah, something like that.
Huh.
It's weird. Anyway.
Free shipping, free merch? Like, what's the downside?
Yeah. I wish they had done it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm interested to see. Like, Netflix is kind of like, you know, one of the last bastions of like halfway decent TV shows, it feels like.
Yeah.
This is a segue into the next topic, though.
Oh,
Netflix,
okay.
on the other hand,
Netflix
coming out with some bangers recently. But I think Netflix is maybe turned the page on their crappy TV shows.
Sure.
We just talked about The Gentleman recently.
Yeah.
Which both of us highly approved
enjoyed.
of. Blue Eye Samurai was a recent thing
yes.
that they did that was very good. One show that they just came out with, it's called The Three Body Problem.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it.
Have you seen anything about it?
I've seen just a little bit. I saw a clip or two and some reviews and whatnot.
Okay, so it's 8-episode TV show.
Yeah,
hour-long episodes. I think I'm 2 or 3 episodes away from the final.
Okay.
So I'm over halfway, probably closer to 3/4 of the way done.
Yeah.
And not as good as The Gentleman.
Sure.
But high bar there, right?
Yeah.
But still a very good show.
Gotcha. I'll pause you to tie in from the Fallout show as well, and with the Netflix, and then we can jump in more into that. It's not a Netflix original, which I think is a big. It's like Netflix like produced it, but Netflix didn't write it. So that I know that Three Body Problem was a
and they didn't
book.
Write,
I think
they didn't write The Gentleman.
Didn't write The Gentleman, and Fallout I think could be good because
they have constraints in the universe.
Yes, exactly. It's not like their own thing, even though they're not doing the stories of a game. So pros and cons there, but also Rings of Power. But
yeah, I was just gonna say, and Wheel of Time, like.
But Rings of Power did take other characters. That's so
true.
Whereas this, they don't have to do any crossover at all. They can just put it in the universe. So just adaptations of things. All right. Netflix originals generally are.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that distinction. I didn't think about that distinction.
Yeah, and because they start putting their Netflix logo on everything because they're like, we're proud of this. But you're like, okay, Netflix is getting money from this, but not all the money from this because it's not an original.
Yeah.
So it is. But lately, they've at least been producing good stuff.
The content that they've shown on their page, like front page, has been like, and this show specifically is not normally a show I would watch.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird like sci-fi drama, isn't it?
Yes, very much a sci-fi drama. A sci-fi drama mystery.
Yeah,
which is interesting, but let me tell you, I've been hooked. Like there are some episodes that like portions can be a little bit slower, where it's more of that drama aspect of it. Like one of the friends has cancer, and it kind of like.
It's got to be all emotional. And
it's not even emotional.
Oh, okay.
I actually really enjoy it. Like the emotion that they do show is like very reasonable.
Okay.
There's no over the top emotions of, oh my gosh, I'm just going to bawl for 17 years because it's like, no, your friend died
and you're like crying, 2 times speed.
You're crying at the funeral. Like I didn't have to fast forward anything.
Okay.
I haven't had to fast forward anything.
It's mostly all talking, all the scenes though, right? Like a drama.
Yes, There's one or two episodes have some shooting,
Oh, okay.
but it's like the police, like,
Yeah.
anyway.
It's just a plot point. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
action.
no, there's no action involved in it. There is like, it is pretty graphic of a show.
Yeah, because I've heard there's like people killing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of suicide, a lot of murder.
That's what I read on the synopsis.
Not a lot of suicide, like a couple, and then some murder,
Yeah.
and then
Some murder, suicide.
well, a lot of that, yeah. And then there's like some interesting government killing that goes on. It's
Yeah.
I'm trying not to spoil it.
Right. Because from what I know of the story, that seems.
But there's some like, and it's really cool because it follows these like science nerds,
Mm-hmm.
and for someone who is not a physicist
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't have like the greatest understanding of like the physics behind everything, but I feel like I'm reasonably competent. I can't poke any holes in the science that they show.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. And they talk about, multiple dimensions and things like that, and
Yeah.
sci-fi
Sci-fi.
stuff, and I'm a big fan. And there's like plot twists all over the place. Where you're just like, it goes like, you're like, oh, it's going this way, and then wham,
Gotcha.
and it just pulls a Yui on you, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then
I might have to give that one a watch. I hesitate to bring this up because I know we differ on this, but I've hesitated in starting the show. And again, I led with saying it's not an original. It is an adaptation, I think, from somebody's book or something. But the showrunners are the two guys who famously ruined the end of Game of Thrones. I saw their name on it, and I was like, it gave me pause. Of like, I don't know about this, guys, but
yeah,
the show that they're making, they're adapting from a book, is already complete. They ruined the end of Game of Thrones,
that's
because the book wasn't done and they rushed through everything, to finish the TV show.
That's a very good distinction.
So I'm like,
that book still isn't done.
It still is not done. So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe those guys are just terrible at like writing their own stuff, and maybe this is okay, actually.
Well, I haven't gotten to the last episodes yet, so
could be like, wow, this is really good, until
because I
just falls off.
To
the
be
cliff.
fair, I am interested to see how they end the season,
how it wraps up, because I think it's just going to be a one season thing. I don't
know. I mean, if there's only 2 episodes left, they're going to have to wrap it up quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because
too many unanswered questions.
Yeah, like a lot.
Right.
Or they're just going to leave like massive cliffhangers, which
fair.
Well, they want to do a season 2. I guess that's a good way to like drive.
It's a sci-fi show. You can leave it mysterious.
Yeah. It's really good though.
Okay.
It's really, what's cool is that it's like a semi-realistic sci-fi.
Yeah, I enjoy that. When they do a little bit of just like the bullcrap science. But then they stick to their rules. They still stick to reality. I'm okay with that in any universe.
Yeah. And
make your own rules, but then stick to them.
Even this one, it's like they give reasons for the science that's like made up or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like one of the things is that this evil, or the antagonists of the movie, I don't want to call them evil necessarily, right? The antagonists of the movie communicate with another group that's many light years away.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to have to wait for a long time for the Earth transmissions to bounce back and forth or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only 4 light years away, so they can 8 years is whatever to wait, right?
Yeah.
The signals. But then episode 2 or 3, they're talking about the antagonists are talking with the alien antagonists. Through a radio.
Okay.
And you're like,
a radio.
You're like 4 light years away. That doesn't. And then 2 episodes later, they explain how they're doing it.
Okay.
Which is cool.
All right. I was like, radio waves do not travel that fast.
No, exactly. Yeah. But they explained it, which is really cool. I was like, oh, and it makes sense.
All right.
And they do have the thing where it's we're millennia more advanced than you and whatnot. It's like
that's always an easy one to pull.
Sure.
I'll give them that.
but like
Aliens.
even then, it's like the ideas behind it. It's like, yeah, this makes like sense. Like
sure.
like it's not like Star Wars or something like that.
So long as you're not, I said before, make your own rules and then stick to them. Aliens is usually a good way to do that. It's just, alien technology. But like, if you're breaking like physical constants of the universe, like if they were like, we got less than absolute zero and we freeze things even freezier. Okay, no, that's a constant.
Zero is zero.
Yes. But if you can try to be like, oh yeah, I don't. You said you weren't going to spoil it, but like we sped up the radio waves or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's not even that. It's
they had some sci-fi explanation.
It's quantum entanglement.
Yeah, that's also an easy cop out. Is quantum because we don't know enough about that yet. So,
but like we know about quantum entanglement, and how we do know that like
we know a lot.
Electrons or protons or whatever, like they can be in two places at once.
Electrons, yep, the electron cloud.
Yeah, which is like
you can know where an electron's at, or you can know how fast it's moving. You can't know both.
Which is just hilarious.
Yes, it is. It's very weird.
I think it's the biggest joke God's ever played. He's like, and you get half of it.
And electrons, like, go figure that one out.
And then, like, electrons are made of stuff. You're like, wait, but what makes an electron?
But what makes an electron?
It's like, oh, quarks. It's like, oh, cool, quarks. What the freak is a quark?
What is it? We're just zooming in on the nanometer scale. It's more and more.
But I would suggest at least I can say the first 6 episodes.
Yes, solid.
Cool, like a solid watch.
I'll probably give it a try. Oh, you've pushed me over the edge of like those Game of Thrones guys.
Now, don't expect anything like The Gentleman, right?
It's, yeah. You like, already started that.
That's The Gentleman is like one of the best shows ever made.
It was a good show.
It was a really good show.
It's at least the best show that I've seen this year. Like,
easily.
Yeah.
Maybe the past 3 years.
I'm excited. I mentioned it to my dad after last week's, and so I'm excited to see if he's watched it, how far he's at, and talk to him about that.
Yeah, you'll have to give me an update on that.
Yeah.
Because, see that.
My dad's got an eye for TV. He's quite the critic. So.
Yes, I love your dad.
So I'll give this guy a try. 3 Body Problem on Netflix, and we'll see. Yeah. Not as good as The Gentleman, but
one of the characters. I will warn you that in the very beginning,
there's this like 10-minute gay sex scene, but other than that,
and you just have to watch someone get railed,
and you can't skip. Netflix gets rid of the button.
It's just a big red.
No,
there's nothing like that.
Okay.
There's one scene where like one of the main characters is like annoying, and you're like, at least for me, it was the first episode, and I was like, this makes me not want to watch the show. Yeah. But after that 10 minutes, you're like, she gets completely different, and it's like way reasonable.
You're like, you're supposed to get me to like your protagonist on the first episode.
Yeah. And like she was like unreasonable, and then you were like, maybe not. And then like 10 minutes after that, you're like, yeah, reasonable.
Okay, that helps. All right, so I know that I can push.
And it's just one character, and one of the the actor in the Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say they recycled a lot of actors from Game of Thrones. I've seen in clips.
Yeah, and the Chinese guy from Marvel's, not Marvel's the movie.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the guy who's one of Doctor Strange's cohort.
The tubby guy.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters.
What is his name in?
That's
the MCU. No, he's Wang.
It's something like that.
I'm not gonna guess any more Chinese names. It'll sound kind of racist. So
just throw pan or something like that. Ding dong ching chong.
Yeah.
Right. We're allowed to be racist against Chinese people, right?
Yeah.
It's American heritage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. World War II.
California's right there. Yep.
Yep. See, Arizona was one of the good states because we only had a Nazi prison camp.
Oh.
Do you know that? We had a Nazi POW
camp? Actually, that sounds vaguely familiar.
It was I don't know, west side, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway,
random interesting tidbit, right? If you're looking up states or even countries, there's like primary language, secondary language. I think everybody can guess that pretty easily. Third language.
tertiary languages. Yeah,
Yeah, guessing the tertiary languages of states and countries.
Some of it's weird.
It's very funny. Here in Arizona, it's tied for Navajo and Chinese.
I didn't know Chinese. I knew the Navajo.
Navajo, yeah.
But I didn't know the Chinese was
Chinese.
Well, if you drive through the nation, there's a bunch of Navajos like billboards, like billboards.
Yeah. Advertisements.
Yeah.
In Navajo, you're like,
yeah,
I didn't.
And you're like, what the freak is this Elvish language?
It's like you're in another country. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Chinese communities in Phoenix, here in Mesa. Like, yeah,
except there's no good Chinese food.
No, like there's some okay Chinese food if you know where to look, but they're not advertised well.
Yeah,
I can hook you up.
There's a taco shop that I saw recently.
That's not Chinese.
Oh no! But speaking of like good,
speaking of good food,
there's a lot of white Mexican food around here because white Mormons. I'll have to tell you my hot take real quick. Well, yeah, we can bleep it out if it's like that bad.
Save it for after. I'll remind you.
What was I saying? Oh, like there's like a lot of like white person Mexican food.
Yeah.
And it's like $13 for a burrito when a burrito is supposed to be like 7 cents.
It's just like 2 tacos you put together. That's 13 cents.
And but there's a spot that I was driving past and I tried looking it up online. No online presence.
Nice. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Hole in the wall.
And the symbol was a rat with the sombrero.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, and so I'm like, this has to be like the best place ever.
El Raton.
I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
But I have to. I think I'm gonna go try it at some point.
Cool.
Anyway, that was my
random.
Speaking of TV shows,
our next TV show, all about the Irish.
The Irish. Those from Birmingham.
Small Heath. Peaky Blinders.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
I do. Everybody is so Irish. All the actors do phenomenal in this show. But Peaky Blinders, I didn't realize it was a BBC show, and then Netflix, I think, picked it up.
Netflix, because BBC was going to, basically they were done, right?
Yeah.
And Netflix, this was when the BBC was like selling seasons of their shows to Netflix.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then Netflix was airing them, and people were like super hyped on Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
And the BBC was like, we're done.
You can just have
it. Then Netflix was like, mine? And I guess they were like, yes.
Okay. Money.
And I think the last 2 seasons are all
Netflix. Okay, cool.
So,
but it's been good. I told you I know this is one of your favorite shows,
if not the favorite show.
And I'm through 1 season, and it's good. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It keeps you watching. It's nice.
You like all the little twists and turns, his machinations.
It's a cool little crime drama. The protagonist is very smart, and he's working his like nefarious plans. So you get a glimpse of like the underworld of
1920s
Great Britain. Yeah, post-war Great Britain, which is very cool. Very no, that's right. This was from The Gentleman. I always thought it was funny that they I think, in The Gentleman they do it. They don't consider themselves Europeans.
No.
Which I thought was hilarious. And their crime underworld, they're like, Europeans. And me as an American, I'm like, what?
You are European. Like,
no, we're British. Okay.
Well, British, would you like a bottle of water?
So, unrelated. I thought that was them. But it was just, their little like neighborhood, just like the Irish gang. And they're cool. It's smart. I like seeing what unfolds. The main character like suffering with his PTSD. Well, honestly, the show shows a lot of PTSD because everybody fought in the war.
Yeah.
And everybody knows somebody who died in the war. Like, so it handles a lot of like pretty intense themes really well.
Yeah.
Which is just cool to see. And then even like the almost dishonor from people who didn't go to war. or towards people who didn't go to war, was like, well, it's kind of stark in some scenes. Or the one, I think this is actually at the start of season 2 even, but when Winston Churchill is like talking about how they're going to use the protagonist for like do a job for them or whatever, and the one police inspector who doesn't like him is like, yeah, he's just a terrible guy, and he's like reading the protagonist thing. He's like, oh, he fought at this battle and this battle, he did these things, he was a tunneler in the war. He's got like other police investigators in the room. He's like, okay, how many of you were at the battle of the Somme? And like half them raise their hands. And how many of you were at this battle? Yeah, this guy like helped you win those battles. Like, so it's just like,
yeah,
total respect. And then because we already knew from the first season that the police inspector didn't go to war.
Yeah, because he's a
limp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's like, they're the good guys, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they like respect their antagonists, and they like the utmost respect for our protagonist.
Yeah.
Just because
Tommy Shelby.
They're all war buddies.
Yeah.
And then his PTSD, I like contrasted with his brother's pretty well. I mean,
it's interesting how they contrast them.
Yeah.
And then the third brother doesn't have any.
Third brother just seems fine.
Yeah.
So far, I don't.
Yeah.
He seems pretty happy-go-lucky. I think he lost a wife or something. They mentioned to. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming sickness or whatever.
I don't remember
but
exactly. I think it was like tuberculosis or something.
Yeah. So like he's got just as much reason to kind of be down in the dumps, but he seems okay.
Yeah.
I'm liking their dynamic, the three brothers. Because like he seems okay. Our protagonist is just like quiet all the time, just like total like genius, like the silent type. And then the older brother is like he's fighting. He's just like raw, like aggression is kind of how he deals with his problems. But then you see he's also the more because of extreme emotions, right? Aggression, but then he is also the more emotional one in the sense of like he kind of breaks down and he cries on screen sometimes, and he does attempt to kill himself in season 1.
Season 1?
He does, yeah. And then like
with the boxing ring or whatever.
Yeah, and then his brother finds out and comes and just like rails at him like, you dummy, like, you didn't even do it right or whatever. Like
yeah, that's right. He's like making fun of him.
Yeah, he's like, I just made this business where we're 3-part owners and we would have loved to have your share. Do it better next time. But it just in a brotherly way, right? Because he does pat him on the back at the end of it anyway. But it's just their comparisons between those 3 characters. I think is good. The show's well written. It's kept me engaged, and I like their handling of the themes. So
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, first season is really good, right? It just goes up from there, though. Like,
cool.
All of the different twists and turns, and like how he solves the problems, and because he gets bigger and more influenced, the problems get bigger and more influential.
I can see that going into season 2. He's trying to like expand. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay, this.
Well, he took all the Billy Kimbas.
Yes, they combined 2 street gangs. So
well, combined.
Yeah.
That took over
at gunpoint.
Well, and death.
Yeah. So I can see it like getting bigger and bigger until like.
And then there's Grace. His love interest.
The Irish gal. She was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed her character as well.
And then
I feel like she might be coming back. I don't know. She kind of went off screen, so I don't know if she's.
What does she do? Oh yeah.
I assume she's relevant because it's like the only woman he's ever loved since the war.
Oh yeah,
he was different since he came back from the war.
I'm trying not to like spoil any of the what goes on in like after season 1.
Oh, gotcha.
It's been a while since I watched season 1.
I like their aunt. She's super cool.
Oh yeah, Polly.
Yeah, Polly. Solid. Both her and then the love interest. Solid examples of like strong women in writing.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. She mentioned several times like when Thomas, the main character, is just being dumb. He's like, "Don't you know I ran the show for 5 years when you were at war? Like, I'm not dumb. You can't cast me aside." And so he kind of comes around on that.
And Polly's great.
She's just like
she's fantastic throughout the show.
She's just like backhanding them. I think it's a perfect relationship that like she's the aunt.
Yeah.
She's not their mom, but they still respect her.
Yeah.
But she's like, because she's not their mom, she can just like be with the boys. She's kind of rough with them sometimes. Yeah, it's a good show. I'm excited to watch more.
It's a great show.
I had to look up, obviously, Peaky Blinders because they got the friggin' razor wire.
The razor cap. And
Built into their hat.
Yeah.
So they can pull it off and... All right, that's cool.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
It makes a peak. I'm like, that is such a cheesy name, but I wasn't going to complain if I lived back in that time. Yeah, you guys got a stupid name. Okay, I see. That's actually a very effective name.
And honest.
and now I can't see.
Have you seen the TikToks or Reels or whatever of the American versus English gangsters?
No.
Or like street rats or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
What do they call them in England? They call them like roadmen.
Roadmen. Okay.
Yeah, but it's basically a gangster, like a street rat, like a hoodlum.
Oh, okay.
Gangster, you know.
Organized though, or like
like small organization.
Oh, okay,
like something you would do as like an initiate in a gang or something.
Gotcha.
Like that, not as like the mob boss, right?
Is the roadster.
But it's always just a funny video of like an American tourist or whatever being held up at knife point. And they've got like a little like box cutter because they can't have like big knives or whatever.
Guns or
it's always just like, "Oi, bro, give me them sneakers," and the American's like, "What?" Like, yeah, bro, give me them sneaker or whatever. I don't know. And the American just basically, it's just
doesn't understand.
It's a skit of the American not understanding and then just laughing at the gangster's face and just saying like "F off."
Yeah. Try that in America.
Do you know? Have you seen the videos of Sketch? The Twitch he's blowing up on TikTok and stuff like that. And he's apparently he's not, but he looks real autistic.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of has like some weird quirks that like.
That's not the timer.
Oh, okay. He has some quirks that like would like make you think he was like a little bit on that autism spectrum. But apparently he's not. But he was on a podcast, and I've only seen the clip of it. And he goes, "Yeah, I get threats all the time online, and like, you know, my people in chat are saying like, oh, I'm gonna come and find you and stuff like that." And he's always like, I think it's really funny because like I carry, so like, come catch one.
This is
and it was like one of those like edits where it's like super like Sigma male, like it's like, you know, whatever. And it was like really funny. I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
That's pretty good. Catch you off guard. Yeah, they're gonna come get me. Go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Come at me.
Peaky Blinders. Good show.
Yeah. Like I think it has to be my favorite show.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. And I'll give you another. Oh, you just remember something.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna throw in another recommendation. I will remind you again. You got to watch Warrior.
I do.
It's on Netflix now. There's not even an excuse.
Oh, I have HBO Max. I have Max. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Because I'm watching this Peaky Blinders. I'm like, oh, okay, this is exactly Warrior, but swap the setting for 1880s San Francisco, and swap the like Irish like fist fights for like Chinese martial arts. That's it. It's the same show.
Oh, this is gonna be good. That's a good show then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
The main character is a little bit. No, never mind. No, it's the same. I was like, he's a little less like shady deals like Criminal Underworld, but I'm like, no, actually, no, he is. Yeah. So,
season 2 of Invincible just finished.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that.
Did you watch it?
I did. The second half. No.
Yeah. Sorry. The second half. Season 2, part 2.
They lost me, dude. I'm not gonna wait a year for the second half of season 2. I don't remember the first half of season 2.
Yeah.
I enjoyed season 1 so much. I wanted to give it the respect and reverence season 2 deserved, but season 2 felt like it kind of meandered anyway, and then it got cut off, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm done, I think.
Yeah, because season 1 was very direct and to the point.
It's fantastic.
In the first episode, the end of the first episode is like, you know, the problem in the story.
And you were entertained enough, you're like, okay, I want to figure out how they resolve this.
Yeah.
Season 2 just meandered. The 4 episodes that I saw, the first half.
I haven't decided if I'm going to try watching all 8 of them or whatever.
Yeah, because you didn't watch the first half. Because you wanted to wait for the whole season.
Because I refuse to do that.
Meaning you've been like, what, 3 years since season 1? I mean, because it was like 2 years till season 2, and now it's at least another 6 to 8 months to the second half.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long while. And I don't know. They lost me. And I don't even care. A lot of people were boycotting it because it's like, because they waited so long. The theory was like, oh, they waited until after Amazon swapped to their ads. They put ads on their shows now. Right? It's like, I wasn't 100% boycotting it for that reason. I hated waiting. The time gap.
Well, and Netflix is increasing their prices again.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
And they're cracking down on the Wi-Fi. Like, only one user, unless you're on the same Wi-Fi. The password sharing. They're getting a little savvy with that. You can kind of get around it. I don't think Netflix will watch this, so I don't know. If you go to the Wi-Fi of the person that you're borrowing from, you log into Netflix there, like on your phone or whatever, and then you come home, it stays for a good long while, actually, before Netflix realizes and like kicks out your IP.
Interesting.
But then you can just go back to the home Wi-Fi and log in. So.
What if I do it on my cellular network?
Like is it your Netflix or?
No, it's my Netflix. This is a non-starter problem.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're borrowing from somebody else.
Yeah, if it's like if I have my phone,
cellular network.
If I log in to Netflix on my phone, I log into my parents' account. Right? Yeah.
And then you're out and away.
And I'm out and about on my 5G Netflix stream.
Again, that's probably fine. I think at the very least it's fine for a good long while until maybe you just have to like end up back at the Wi-Fi eventually. Yeah. If you were gone for like a year, it would probably just sign you out.
I don't know.
Netflix sharing. They're raising their prices. Amazon raised their prices if you want no ads.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder. The streaming bubble is going to burst.
I just think we need to start going back to how old movies used to do with product placements. You ever see like the old Superman movies or like anything like that?
I haven't actually.
All of the cigarettes are Marlboro.
Nice. Okay.
Because Marlboro paid oodles of dollars to just have only those.
Yeah, and they were like, oh yes, let me have the smoke.
Exactly. Or the one I remember, like
in front of the camera.
The one I drew. Let me have a smoke from my Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, it just turns into a commercial. You're like,
for like 2 seconds, you're like
in the middle of a fight or whatever. Like,
but one of them is like a big train car, and on the side is just like painted like Marlboro Red, and just
that's funny. Yeah. I heard the joke. A lot of people tore into the new Madam Web movie for many reasons, but the villain was killed by like a Pepsi sign or something.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd heard that. Like Madam Web and the 3 spider babes don't even do anything for like the whole movie, but just like the evil Spider-Man dude just like has a sign from a building fall down on him, and it's just like Pepsi kills him.
That's hilarious.
Like, is that a good? I mean, obviously that's a good product placement. Like they paid for that Pepsi sign, but I guess it kills bad guys.
Pepsi kills bad things.
Drink Pepsi.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm sure that people like companies obviously still pay for like their cars or whatever show, or like they give them the cars for free. Or
right. Whatever. If somebody mentions Lamborghini in a movie or whatever. Like the funny one I saw, I've been playing this. We can talk about this one another day. A new game series that I started that my brother got me into because it's like his favorite game series. It's the Yakuza series. You might have heard of them. You play it. There's like 10 different games, but you always play as like a member of the Japanese Yakuza. And this one in particular, it's like the 1990s, I think. And they have little arcades in game, and I walk inside the arcade, and there's like I'm talking to a character or whatever, and above the arcade is like in big bold letters Sega, and I'm like, oh, Sega made this game too, but they also were arcades back in the 90s.
That's funny.
I'm like, they're advertising themselves in their
game. That's very funny.
Like, oh yeah, all right, that's well done.
Yeah.
Just like walk into the Sega arcade. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is real Japan from the 90s. Okay, yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's very fun.
Product placement. It can be done tastefully.
It can. No, it definitely can.
Yeah.
It definitely can. And I think like a lot of times, I don't know. we're regressing back to just cable.
Yeah,
Like at this
it
point,
is.
it's like,
Pay for your channels. Like, oh, I want the Netflix channel.
yeah,
Oh, I got to pay for the Amazon Prime package.
yeah.
It's cable.
It's just cable with extra steps.
Extra steps and maybe more content. Maybe.
Yeah, for
than
sure,
cable.
more content, and you get to choose what you watch, I guess.
But even cable, you had to buy like, oh, you got to buy the extra HD sports package. You're like, yeah, but I don't want all of this crap. Like, if you pay for Netflix, you're not going to watch 80% of that crap. It's almost if you pay per show.
Might be better.
Might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta talk about movies that have come out recently, or that are coming out.
Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm actually probably pretty excited to go watch it. I still need to watch Godzilla -1.
You need to watch Godzilla -1 because that's peak.
Yeah.
Godzilla movies will never get better than Godzilla -1.
I might need to.
Because that was a Japanese studio. Godzilla X Kong is their like monster verse thing. So there's no story to that one at all.
No, it's just big apes punching each other, and Kong now has a metal fist.
He's got a metal fist. Godzilla is the same. He doesn't have any character development.
Because he's a lizard, Trevor.
Well,
he's a big lizard.
Well, you would think Kong wouldn't get any, but he's got a metal fist.
He's an ape.
Oh, okay. He's like primate human connection. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
You have a dinosaur, a literal dinosaur, versus a monkey.
Yes.
Well, that might seem ridiculous in terms of like actual fighting and stuff like that. There are like
it's quite good. So
I don't feel the need for Godzilla to have character development.
Yes. Which is funny because that's the big budget, $100+ million movie franchise, Hollywood movie, Godzilla line, and then like over here, Godzilla -1 was like $15 million, small studio.
Wow.
I guess Godzilla kind of had character development in that one, but the human story was actually really good, really convincing.
Well, that's right. You told me about it.
One of the best stories I'd seen. Again, at least all last year, but probably one of my favorite movies. I'd have to rewatch it. So yeah, Godzilla X Kong. I don't know what other new movies were coming out. I just threw that one out.
Alan Rickson one with Henry Cavill.
That is in a couple weeks.
The Office of Ungentlemanly Warfare, or something like that.
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah. And that looks really good.
Semi based on a true story of how the British Special Services started.
Embellished true story, I think would be the best way to.
I would imagine so, based on the trailers.
Although there are some of those stories where like the way it's written, or the way what actually happened is so crazy that they have like if you made that into a movie, I would be like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like it actually happened. Like there's a bunch of stuff like that.
A lot of military stories
in all the wars, right? Where it's like this is like a real thing that happened. Like you could say everything in this movie is factual, and then no one would believe you.
Right. This one seems like that could be it. I'd have to read into it, or obviously watch it when it comes out. But
yeah, I think we should all go see it.
It looks rad. Henry Cavill is the protagonist. Is like a semi-psychotic good guy. He's British Secret Services.
Yeah.
But before their Secret Service, and just killing Nazis, having a good time,
which is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. Always kill Nazis. Always good.
World War II Nazis.
Big fan of World War II movies. Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a war story that's just like is so ridiculous that
the bear that joined the Polish military. That's always the one I go.
That's hilarious.
He was like a colonel, not a colonel, but like he was up there too.
Yeah.
He gained ranks.
Or if you need to watch this guy on YouTube. His name is the Fat Electrician.
Oh, you mentioned him. Yeah.
He always just tells all of his videos are 100% historically accurate.
Nice.
He does all the research and stuff like that.
He's just telling stories.
He's telling history,
but
the way he delivers the history is hilarious. And he always chooses stories that are like
semi
hilarious, right?
Little out there.
And he like some of these guys, like they could have movies about them, and you would just be like, "There's no way this human did this all in his lifespan."
Nice.
Like it's impossible for a human to have done this. Like what? And just like there's so many of those stories.
Yeah.
That like I feel like it would be like really cool.
My brother used to follow this blog, which at least 10 years ago, because the internet, the blog sphere is kind of dead now. It's all just mom blogs. But
true.
he used to follow this cool one
or
every
recipe
week.
blogs that tell you their life story in order to make a cheesecake.
Yes. You gotta scroll all the way down.
It's like 70 pages
just
sometimes.
to get to the ingredients.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then they're like, once you choose your farm fresh ingredients from the local dairy, you need to remember my childhood when I was a young lass. And
ridiculous.
Living in the south of Georgia.
Anyway, used to read this blog that was Badass of the Week.
Oh, cool.
And this guy it was articles, blogs. He just went back in history and just told cool stories. And one of my favorite ones, I forget the name. One of the ones was the bear. That's how I always remember that. The other one was the most decorated soldier in World War I. I forget his name. It's probably bad because I should give him credit. Most decorated British soldier, I think, in World War I. He's quoted. He did a bunch of cool stuff. He's got all the medals and everything. He's quoted. When they showed him a flamethrower, they're like, "Oh, hey, we got this cool new tech. Flamethrower clears the trenches or whatever." They show it to him, and he says, "Man, that looks great, but where do you put the bayonet?" The bayonet?
Yeah.
You've got a weapon that spews flames out to 20, 30 feet or more, and you want to put a knife on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
There's a bunch of World War I guys who were just lunatics. Just lunatics. There's one guy who every time he went to go do a trench to trench,
the charge
or whatever,
over the lines,
he would pull out his bagpipes and play the bagpipes while charging, and then run in with a sword. No gun. He didn't do a sword. He just sword and just like
bagpipes play and then just like swing.
Yeah, because you don't need a gun if you're just using a sword, right? So there's no reason before you get to the trenches to like do anything but play the bagpipes, I guess.
Oh, man.
Another guy, another British fellow.
Was that guy like from the Scottish contingent?
I'm sure he had to be, right?
To have been, yeah.
Like, he had to be. Another guy from Britain. Did the entire war with bow and arrow.
Oh, have you told me this one? Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm playing this on hardcore.
Just, okay.
Starting weapon max level.
This guy's on New Game Plus, I see. He got bored of like the starting weapons. Wow.
Yeah, the entire time, just bow and arrow.
That's insane.
Bow and arrow. It's crazy. Like, what?
In 1914, like what?
I mean, talk about like stealth operation.
Yeah, it's like, dude, there's no excuse for that. We have decent guns by World War One.
Yeah, and like, if you're out of bullets, you have a sword on the end of it. Like,
yeah.
And trench shovel.
Get a trench shovel, a trench shotgun, like
trench knife, or whatever. Like, just why are you doing this on hardcore?
Bow and arrow.
Like,
how do you you got to ask your superior officer? Like, yeah, can I order 300 more arrows, please? He's like, that's in the budget. It's cheaper than bullets, but why?
Well, but
we had to make an extra line on like the requisition order sheet.
Random arrows, please.
Just any arrows you can find, send them to us.
But like, also, like, can you imagine you're like the commanding officer of that guy, and like, can you imagine the first time he does that?
Yeah, and
you're just like, what?
Yeah, you think he's a joke, right? When he shows up.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're just like trying to commit suicide here.
Yeah,
this is just like suicide.
Okay.
Like you're over this and you're just like giving up, right? And then he comes back and you're like, what? And then he just keeps doing it and he just keeps coming back.
Comes back with an empty quiver covered in blood.
What?
Okay, here's a promotion. Well, lead your own squad, teach them all how to use those.
Can you imagine they come back and they're just all in like medieval, like the flat cap?
Yeah, they're all just ninjas.
They're all just like, yeah.
That,
or the guy playing the bagpipes. Can you imagine being that guy's commanding officer? Like, dude, all right, we're gonna storm the enemy trench. It's like, all right, bagpipes.
Not my bagpipes.
Like, wait, no,
I said lock and load.
He's like, yeah, locked and loaded, Captain. It's like, man. What? He's just climbing over the ramparts.
Yo ho, boys, charge! That's awesome. Read side tidbit that my dad brought up this week. Benjamin Franklin petitioned for the Continental Army to use bows instead of muskets, like as their primary weapon.
Hilarious.
It is hilarious. I'm like, wow, that's on paper. We have that as fact that he wanted the Continental Army to fight the British with bow and arrow because muskets were just like too slow. They were just too unreliable at that time.
Honestly, it's not unreasonable.
And back then, 1776, most people still kind of knew how to use a bow, at least.
Oh, for sure.
And not everybody knew how to use a musket. So, and they just had militias. So, like, he said, he wrote up his thesis or whatever, is submitted to the Continental Congress of, like, how many shots they can get off with a bow and arrow before a musket shot. Like,
yeah. Because a musket, if you're loading really quick, is like 4?
Yeah.
I think a minute.
If you're good, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I've read in the history books the average for like our army back then at the start was like one shot a minute. It was like ramrod, powder patch ball. Like, it was just so long. So we're like, you can just bow and arrow. It's so good.
Yeah, and I mean, even if like at that point, like arrows, you can just make out of a branch.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just like.
So it's really interesting and then it's not even like the range was a factor because those early smoothbore muskets were just.
Well, what's interesting is that the British used smoothbores. Americans all used rifled muskets.
Not the whole army. We didn't have enough.
Well, yeah, but like everyone who brought their own because they were using the Kentucky long rifle.
The Kentucky long rifles were like the first prototypes.
The first sniper rifles of.
Yeah, because they put one rifle in the barrel, like.
What is that twist rate? A 1 in 82 inch? Like,
yeah, it's like it gives the bullet just a little bit more spin, but it's a long range now.
I wonder what the average minute of angle on that was.
Right. Well, and
because like modern like ARs now, anything below 1 minute of angle is like a amazing rifle.
Sure. Yeah.
So 1 minute of angle means all the bullets will hit within 1 inch of one another at 100 yards.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If you're aiming at the exact same spot, right?
Mm-hmm. That's how like accurate and long range.
Yeah. So like the military, the current military's requirements, I think, is like 3 MOA, so 3 inches.
Okay.
At 100 yards. If the rifle is like benched, right, and like just like clamped down,
all other factors eliminated. No wind, no nothing.
Exactly. And so I want to know what like the average like minute of angle was for one of those rifles.
Their ballistics.
It had to be like 20.
Yeah. Right.
Like 20 inches. Where's 20? That's
at 100 yards.
Like it had to be like that, right?
Not very accurate.
I mean, and one of the smoothbore, I'm sure it's like 72.
Oh yeah, because the British were famous. Like, all right, we're just gonna stand 10 yards apart.
Yeah.
And just
I wonder if I could
kill each other civilly. But yeah, bow and arrow. I'm like, because that's so interesting to me, because that's right on the cusp of when guns were getting better, and for more like mass use, mass production. Would we have just gotten destroyed if we used bow and arrow, or would that have worked? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And the British, not that they were wearing armor, but the British did come over with some pretty heavy coats too. Like, not every arrow is a kill shot. Yeah, so that would have been fun. Fun to hear the stories, at least.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because just a little bit after, by the War of 1812, we at least had the mini ball. Like, our ballistics was getting better. We started doing more rifling. A little bit past that.
1812, what was developed in 1812? Lever guns weren't quite
there. We needed the Spanish-American War for that one.
That's right. And then the Civil War.
Yeah, and by then we had cartridges. But 1812 was mini ball, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think wasn't there limited use in the Revolutionary War?
I think by the end of the Revolutionary War they were kicking them out because we allied with the French, and that's where we got.
Yeah, and the French. Everyone like always rips on the French for like their prowess in the world wars.
Yeah,
but lack thereof.
But their time, their empire was before then. Their peak.
Even now, though, some of their weapons, like, they know how to make guns, man.
Mm-hmm.
The French know how to make weapons.
They had an empire. They definitely.
Yeah, well, and they still have one of the best fighting forces on the planet. And
saying that heritage, like that stayed with them.
The French Foreign Legion, like, there's no other country that has something like that.
Right, yeah.
Where they're just like, oh, yeah, you want to join? You're a murderer? Oh, well, it doesn't matter anymore. Here's a new identity.
And we'll give you all the best technology and everything.
Yeah, and like, oh, and by the way, now you're a murderer, right? So, like, you like killing people? Well, guess what you get to go do for the next 7 years?
Murder people for the government.
Murder people for any government.
That's true, actually. Lend you out to the highest bidder.
Literally.
Yeah.
They're fighting in Ukraine.
That's right, yeah.
It's interesting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but you're right. People make fun of France for their flag, which, I mean, it's just blank and white, guys. I don't know what's so bad about their flag, but...
Yeah, I didn't know, yeah. And I just think...
But it's just the world wars, so...
Like...
They're good.
The French...
You didn't find that ballistics on Revolutionary War?
Nah,
I'll do some better digging.
Look a little bit further.
It's not an easy Google question.
Yeah,
That's fair. We got 20 minutes here. I think we can talk about some rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting.
Rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting. So last week's episode was just supposed to be
all the cowboy cards.
All the cowboy cards, every single one. And
that's right.
Wizards of the Coast was like, oh, by the way, part 2.
By the way, Cowboys part 2.
I feel like I just keep seeing new good cards every single day.
Every day. Yeah, I think they're finally done now. But I think I maybe mentioned this last week. It's because they did. So last week we spoiled every card from the main set, and we were like, these power creep. A lot of these cards are bangers. Yeah. This week they spoiled what was supposed to be a bonus supplementary set. They were supposed to do another little aftermath style set, a mini set with mini boosters that weren't draftable. So they were all supposed to be good cards. But they saw that their last mini supplemental set did terrible. So they're just selling these ones, which are still all good cards, as a bonus sheet. So like the Strixhaven ones, you just get a chance of opening these in booster packs. But they're like all mythics and rares. And so if you open those in a draft, you're just going to destroy. Like,
yeah.
There's a couple reprints, but a lot of it is just these insane new cards. Because story-wise, they found a big vault in the cowboy plane. And so they open the vault and there's just, here's all the treasure inside. So that's their bonus sheet is called the Big Score.
Gotcha.
So that's why the big is their acronym, and the symbol is like a vault door or whatever. It's different from the main set symbol, the cowboy hat. So they did the 50 or so cards from the Big Score, which are all bangers. And then they also did the Commander Precon decks this week, which have 10 new cards each. So
there's some that are just like, I mean, we talked about Felix 5 Boots, the Ooze guy.
Yeah, the new Ooze Commander.
I'm going to build this deck. Like, it just sounds like so much fun to me.
That's cool, man.
And like, yeah, and there's a couple
Felix 5 Boots, Sultai. So 2 black, green, and blue, 5 mana, 5/4 Ooze Rogue, Menace and Ward 2. Just throw some random keywords on there.
And like Menace on a 5/4 is pretty good.
That's pretty good. Ward 2 on a commander, hard to kill. If a creature you control dealing combat damage to a player causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. He's the first double combat damage trigger thing that's existed in Magic. We have a lot of like double enter the battlefield triggers. Red has had a couple double attack triggers, but never a double combat damage trigger. So he doesn't do anything inherently. He doesn't enable himself, but he's a huge payoff for the rest of the deck. Yeah. No, there. Yeah. Let's see. What else is there? That one we've talked about. And he's in one of the precons. So he's not the face commander. He's not the face commander, because the other commander has a combat damage trigger, so they work well. Because Obeka Splitter. No, that's not. No, right. I didn't take a picture of him, but he's Gonti. They actually because he's the face commander. They spelled him a couple weeks ago. Oh, he does something where spells you cast but don't own cost 1 less.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because when he deals combat damage, you like steal cards from the tops of people's
Yep.
libraries.
Another one of them that got, I don't know, Obeka Splitter of second. No, we talked about that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You get an additional upkeep.
Additional upkeep. She's from the main set.
Oasis Gardener from the main set again.
Oh, yeah.
Just a better freaking mana, like one of the best mana rocks I've ever seen.
A mana dork, right?
Mana rock. Oh, it is a dork.
Yeah, it's a creature.
It's an artifact creature. That's why I said mana dork.
Oh, gotcha.
Rock. Yeah.
I thought it would look like a plant, and you were going to be like plant racist. I'm like, I thought it was a land.
No, it's a scarecrow.
Oh, the scarecrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Oasis Gardener, 3 mana for 2/2, and then when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, and then it taps for any color.
1 mana of any color.
1 mana of any color.
Yeah, it's
a great mana dork.
It's a commander sphere on a creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you gain 2 life as well.
Yeah, seems fine.
Why not, right?
Why not? We'll talk about some more of the commander cards. I sent you the Lisan Al Gaib, the Dune Chanter. You remember this guy?
Oh yeah.
That can't not be a Dune reference.
Yeah,
he's just
for sure.
posed this weird plant guy though. The Dune Chanter. He's cool because one of the new precons is desert themed. So this guy realistically should go in the desert deck, but it's a really good enabler for any desert deck, and also he's got some extra stuff. The Dune Chanter's 3 mana, 2/3 reach, plant druid, probably irrelevant. Lands you control and lands you own that aren't on the battlefield are deserts. Turns all your lands into deserts for those shenanigans. But then he just has lands you control, tap for 1 mana of any color. And
mana fix yourself.
You can tap him to mill yourself 2 cards and gain 1 life for each land card milled this way. So max 2 life per activation, but the rest of his abilities are good, and then that's just like extra. Might as well try to gain some life.
Yeah.
So pretty good enabler in the desert deck. Turn everything into deserts.
Yeah. He's a plant.
He's a plant.
He's
in the plant precon.
Kiri Talented Sprout.
The baby cactus.
Yeah. She's adorable.
The baby cactus. I don't know. What does it say in the flavor text?
He may be little green, but trust me, he's far from spineless.
It's a he.
Yuma, proud protector.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's the face commanders quoting.
Is this the little cactus that he's holding?
Oh, that might be in the art, actually. I
have a picture of him. It is!
Yeah, okay, so he's holding a little baby cactus guy who's the other commander.
All right. So Kiri Talented Sprout, red, green, white for 1 red, green, white, so 4 for a 0/3.
Not great.
So other plants and tree folks, it's a plant druid. So other plants and tree folk you control get +2/+0.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Pretty okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
But then at the beginning of your at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, return target plant, tree folk, or land card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, that's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Especially if you have what's the guy who makes 0/1s when he comes out?
The green guy?
He's a big 6/6.
I know. Avenger of Zendikar.
Yep, Avenger of Zendikar. You get play an Avenger of Zendikar. He dies. You get it back to your hand and play him again.
Yeah. It works good in this deck that probably has a lot of plants because they're new. Tree folk have existed for a while in Magic, so there's support for that tribe. And then lands in your graveyard. There's a lot of strategies that do that. So yeah. It's pretty good support.
And then Tower Winder.
Yeah.
I sent this one.
Yeah, this one's cool.
I sent it as a joke originally because
Tower Winder.
Kind of a stupid effect. So it's 1 and a green for a 1/1 with reach and death touch.
Yeah.
Which
it's fine.
That's okay.
It's a good blocker.
Yeah. And then when he enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a card named Command Tower. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle.
Yeah, that's good.
It's hilarious. It's
it tutors for a specific card, which is funny because I think there's only one other card in Magic's history that does that. But that's a pretty common thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, is specific card tutors. So now we got this new snake guy who probably goes in most green decks.
For sure. All green commander decks, because every commander deck's going to
has a command tower. Search your library for a command tower and put it into your hand.
Actually, I don't know if my green deck has a command tower. I think my green deck only has
basic force. Because it's mono green.
That can't be right.
Can I pause?
Yeah. Sorry.
And we're back. I sent you the Snake Ninja. This ninja.
Yeah. I think he's a ninja, but like
He's a ninja.
pretty.
He's got a combat damage trigger, which a lot of ninjas do.
Mm-hmm. It's a dual trigger though, which is kind of cool. It does two things: you get to create a treasure token, and you get to manifest the top card of an opponent's library.
A Orochi Soul Reaver for 5 and a black, 5/4 Snake Ninja Rogue.
Ninjutsu for 4.
Yeah, which like because of its effect, you're really gonna want that ninjutsu for 4. 6 mana is a bit pricey for this, but whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, and manifest the top card of that player's library.
Yeah.
So max 3 treasures of combat. If you're dealing combat damage to 3 players, you get 3 treasures and you get 3 2/2s. It's a fantastic rate for 4 mana. And then that's on top of any value you steal from their deck, because if it's a creature, you can manifest their creature and flip them over.
Yeah.
Snake Ninja, pretty good. One that I like that I think is in that deck that's like steel stuff. It's going to fit into a lot of different decks. The Savvy Trader. I don't think I sent you this one.
Mm-mm.
It's a trader, human citizen guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 and a green, 4/3/3, 4 mana, 3/3. When he enters the battlefield, you exile target permanent card from your graveyard, and you can play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So it's
kind of cool.
It's cool. It's a green has a lot of those like rebirth type effects where it's like you take a thing from your graveyard, put it back in your hand normally. So that's kind of what this is like any permanent. It's effectively in your hand. You can cast it again. But spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast. That's some good support for a lot of different decks. So
that's really good for a lot of different decks.
Yeah. Exile is the obvious one, cast from exile, and that's what he does on his first part. But commanders are casting from not your hand. So your commanders cost 1 less. If you have multiple commanders, very good. I think he's in the deck where you're stealing your opponent's stuff and casting their stuff, so also good. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand. So I like it. It's simple design.
There's also a couple cards in this set that are doing stuff from the top of your library, like flipping. Is plotting count? Does plotting count as
casting? Not until you cast it for free on a later turn.
Okay.
So this guy doesn't work. I think that's why he's in the commander deck, not the plot from the main set.
Yeah.
Mechanic.
Which I'm still a fan of that mechanic.
I think it'll be good. I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I'm like, if it wasn't the play boosters, I'd be tempted to buy a box of draft boosters if it was a reasonable price, but draft boosters no longer exist.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just draft on Arena, because they're technically it's play boosters there, but it's still curated for draft. So I'm just worried somebody might draft an epic sword and just murder me because their cards are OP. The jute.
Yeah.
The other fun face commander, I know you mentioned the you kind of liked the Vampire Olivia of the red, white, black precon. She's like outlaw tribal now, the assassins, rogues, pirates, mercenaries, warlocks. The other guy is a dwarf warlock, Vihan Goldwaker.
Cool.
It's 3 mana, 3/3. Other outlaws you control have vigilance and haste.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty strong, and I think she buffs other outlaws. I forget.
Yeah.
But then this one's kind of fun. The beginning of combat on your turn, you may have treasures you control become 3/3 construct assassin artifact creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. You turn all your treasures into robot assassins.
What colors is he?
Red, white, black.
Not a ton of treasure stuff in
black. Treasure started in red, though.
Yeah, that's true. I was going through the colors thinking.
Yeah.
Not a ton in white either, though.
Smothering Tide now, but...
Oh, I forgot about Smothering Tide.
Yeah. A treasure started in red. It naturally went to white, because white also deals with artifacts. Black is usually like we saw in the ninja, like deal combat damage, get a treasure. Blue, I think it shifted to blue also because of artifacts, honestly. So it's shifted to white and blue. And then now it's just in green just because. I don't know why.
There's a freaking And did you see did I send the Hydra to
Oh yeah, the treasure Hydra.
the gold vein Hydra?
Gold vein Hydra.
This feels like the most broken Hydra. Like,
It's good. It's certainly good.
But like, I feel like this has to be the best Hydra in existence.
It's he's like X and a green, trample.
So X and a green, vigilance, trample, and haste.
And haste, yeah.
Okay, I'm already putting that in a deck.
Mm-hmm.
This is 100% going in big green.
Yeah, enters with X11 counters as Hydras do.
And yeah, enters the battlefield with X1 counters. Then when it dies, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to its power.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically
It's
pay
free.
Freaking 1 mana for a 10/10 with vigilance, trample, and haste. And
it's good.
Oh, it dies. Oh, darn! I just get 10 mana back.
Yeah, it's no, yeah, it's certainly good. It's not like splashy, like it's not winning the game on its own, but
for a non-legendary,
it's
common.
It's free. No, that's rare.
Yeah,
surely.
Yeah,
Pauper would be. There's no way that effect is too strong. It is too strong for a common, but it's good.
It has to go in every single green deck.
If your green deck cares about combat damage, that's the thing. It's not splashy, but it is like that's free swings. It's free damage.
Yeah.
So you don't care if he dies.
If he dies, it's like, oh, I get it. Like my next big green stompy creature is going to be double the size of my mana base.
Yeah, because I get my all the treasures back. Yeah.
Like I'm going to tap out for this guy, and if he doesn't get countered, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I get 20 treasure tokens.
I don't know if you saw.
Well, and then there's so many effects where you can just like pay 2 mana to double the power and toughness of a creature.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Like the new cactus guy that we liked from last week. Since you're pretty high on the big green stompy,
always
from the vault that they found, the big score. You see this dinosaur?
No.
There's a dinosaur in the vault. Vault-born Tyrant.
7 mana, 6/6 trample. Whenever Vault-born Tyrant or another creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life and draw. What? And then when he dies, if it's not a token, create a token that's a copy of it. Except there's not.
So when he dies, you get a robot version of him. It's cool.
I think I need to create another big green stompy deck.
I need 2.
Well, I've told you this. I want to build a mono green cascade deck.
Oh, sure.
Where it's just
because it doesn't work with the X spells.
No, it doesn't work with X spells.
So you need the opposite.
I need the opposite, where it's just I'm going to play not Apex Altasaur.
We always get this one confused. Apex Devastator. Cascade.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a 10/10, but I also have an 8/8 and a 6/6 and a
Cascade.
Oh, and this one also had Cascade. Oh, well, I get another thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vault-born Tyrant.
He's gonna go. He would go in that deck for sure.
Absolutely. The Jitte that you mentioned, Lost Jit, is a reference to an old card that was also broken from Umezawa's Jit, which Umezawa was a character in old Kamigawa, super OP. This artifact is slightly less OP, but it's still pretty good.
Is the name of my ninja commander.
Yeah, he's from the clan.
Satoru Umezawa.
The Umezawa clan, because he was from the time-skipped Kamigawa. So, I forget the original guy's name, Toshiro or something. But it's pretty cool sword, pretty cool equipment. The last one was like OP broken and just combos off with a ham sandwich. This one's pretty good. 1 mana to cast, 1 mana to equip. Already love to see that on an equipment.
Yep.
Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage, put a charge counter on this thing. And then you remove a charge counter from it for free, instant speed, anytime you want, and choose one of the following 3 effects. Untap target land. Target creature can't block this turn, and put a 1/1 counter on equipped creature.
That's really good.
Deal combat damage, get your counters, and then untap your lands. So it's pseudo ramp. Make target creature can't block, or just turn the charge counters on it into 1/1 counters on your creature. That's like the baseline. That's like the weakest effect, but it's like, yeah.
Does it give them +1/+1 or anything like that?
It doesn't initially. It just gives them that combat damage trigger.
Wow.
1 mana cast, 1 mana to equip. I'm sold. It's good. I have
It would be a really fun deck.
Hmm.
Is a deck with all of the unblockable creatures and a bunch of equipment.
bunch of equipment.
You're gonna get the combat damage off.
Bunch of ninjas. Ninjas.
Rogues. Rogues are unblockable.
Rogues. Yeah.
I think it's just rogues.
Yeah. Rogues. For black, like I said, has a lot of that. When you deal combat damage triggers.
Anyway, yeah. That's very cool.
There's another
really good.
There's another pretty goofy one.
How does that work with a charge counter, not energy counter? My bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
There's another goofy one that also combos or just gets you insane value. This set, pretty wild. The Esoteric Duplicator is 2 in a blue for an artifact clue. It's also a clue. So you can just pay 2 and sack it to draw a card if you want. But whenever you sacrifice this Esoteric Duplicator or another artifact, you can pay 2. And if you do, at the beginning of the next end step, you create a token that's a copy of that artifact. Now, that doesn't say non-token.
Oh, interesting.
So whenever you sacrifice this or any other artifact, you just got to pay 2, and then you get another copy of that artifact.
And then it's a token copy.
And it's a token copy, so then you can sacrifice that thing again, pay 2, and get another copy. So you're not net positive on copies, but that's not what this wants to do. It wants you to get one thing back infinitely.
Well, but also you could be net positive because there's oodles of other cards that say when a token enters the battlefield,
make a copy. Yes, yeah, the doubling season type effects.
There's like probably 30 cards that do that.
Yeah, at this point, this is in blue. There's a couple in blue. Most of them are in green. Like, it's pretty easy. There 1 or 2 are in white now. Like, the real nasty one is there's a artifact called Ugin's Nexus. Yeah, Ugin's Nexus, where it's like a 6-mana artifact, and it says like players can't take extra turns, but then when you sacrifice the Ugin's Nexus, you exile it and you take an extra turn. So you wait until the end step, right? Because the thing says you can't take extra turns. You wait until the end step, and then you sacrifice your own Ugin's Nexus. So you get an extra turn, but then you'll make another copy of it, and so you take your extra turn, and then your copy comes in, and then you immediately sacrifice it again.
There has to be an infinite combo with this.
Yeah, that's infinite.
Well, I'm thinking like, there has to be a card that says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to an opponent. Or
yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. That has to be some sort of effect like that.
Yeah, there's red. There's 2 offhand. I can think of in red.
I'm thinking like, okay, well, that card, the damage thing, and the soul ring works.
Yeah.
Because you tap the soul ring for float 2 mana, sack the soul ring, and then make a copy of it with the 2 floating mana, and then do it again.
Yes, so it's at the beginning of the next end step. That's why I said it's hard to be net positive on stuff.
Yeah. Okay, my bad.
You can only max have 1 a turn. They put some extra steps in there to make it more complicated.
In that case, I forgot about that. My bad.
That's why the extra turns one works nice.
Yeah, because
you only ever need 1 extra turn. You don't need infinite extra turns. You just need 1 extra turn an infinite amount of times.
Yeah.
So that one looked pretty spicy. That looked pretty neat. And a lot of the cards from that sheet, they were all just kind of like big splashy stuff, but it's worth looking into. I think a lot of them are like so splashy they at least go into a deck or 2. Like they're just perfect for that deck.
I'm pretty high on this set. Like, I think this is probably the best, like, I mean, way too much power creep. Like, it's crazy how power creep, how much power creep there was in this deck. But also, power creep makes cards fun.
But more powerful cards, more fun. It's all made for... Oh, no.
Are you off?
No, I'm good. We'll call it there then.
We'll
Probably.
call it there then.
Yeah.
Finish your thought. Power creep.
Power creep. Everything's made for Commander now, which is awesome. Pros and cons, but generally, it seems all right. I guess. I don't know. I like Magic, so I'll keep playing.
Fair enough.
Random last thing: the Commander decks don't have good reprint value, so don't buy those looking for a sale. I wanted to throw in the financial minute.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
None of the reprints had anything over like $10. So yeah.
Oh, that's really bad.
Yeah, it's not great. The 10 new cards have some interesting designs in each deck, but yeah.
Well, there it is.
There it is. Till next time.
Till next time. On the 5G podcast.
Man.
I even charge. Huh? I wonder how long that lasts.
Yeah, I normally. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the 5G podcast.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see more.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.